Welcome back to Renegade GCM. Today we're going to do a deck tech video for Zoro from OP01. This is a rush deck that I've been playing with. It's a glass cannon deck, just to give you guys a heads up. Um, it's going to be a fun casual deck. You might be able to take the locals, get some wins, but it's not going to win you like big tournaments. So Zoro, OP01, 5 life, 5k leader with the ability Dawn 1. Your turn. All your characters gain plus 1000 power. Zoro is no stranger to One Piece, the card game. He's been a dominant force since he came out in OP01. He's not getting as much love these days. The main deck that Zoro runs now is like an animal package with choppers. If you're going to play Zoro, probably play that one. But this is just a fun one if you just want to have some fun and play some rush bodies and beat some face. Alright, so we're going to start with 4 of our Kid and Killer from EB01. 4 drop 5k body. Has rush, but it also has an additional ability when attacking. If your opponent has 2 or less life cards, this character gets plus 2000 power until the end of the turn. He doesn't have any counter. His job is to be deployed and swing. A 5k rush still swings in, regardless if you don't get a second ability, but he's a good cleaner. Next up, we have 4 of the 5 drop 5k Yamato from EV01. It's a 2k counter, mostly in here for the 2k counter, but it is a 5k body. And activate main once per turn. Give up to 1 rested Dawn card to your leader or one of your characters. This just helps you play on those curves where you want to deploy a body. You use all your Dawn to do it, but this will give you just 1 extra to throw on your leader to pump your team. Next, we have 4 Otama, 2k, 1 drop 0 power from OP01. It has on play, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2000 power during this turn. 9 out of 10 times, you're just going to use it as a 2k. If there's just a body on field that you just need to get rid of, this will help you reduce its power if needed. Next, we have 4 copies of Sanji. It's a 2k, 2 drop 3000 power. Kind of the same concept. It's a 2k at 9 out of 10 times, but it is a tech choice with the ability activate main. Once per turn, you may add 1 card from your life area to your hand. This character gains 2000 power during this turn. Then you can give it up to 2 rested Dawn as well. So you can make it a 7k. If you got 1 on your leader, you can go 8. So pretty good card. We have this. The next one is 4 copies of the 3 drop 5000 power Zoro. Just has rush. No counter, but he's just meant to be deployed out and do his thing. Like I said, no stranger to One Piece card game with Zoro. He's pretty well known. New addition we got from OP09 was the 10 drop 12k Shanks. No counter, but all your opponent's characters have minus 1000 power, and he has rush, which is really cool because if your leader has a Dawn on it from one of your attaching Dawn abilities, you're swinging a 13k, which is pretty good. No counter, so put him out. 1 drop, 1000 power, 4 copies of Tony Chopper. He's just our little blocker, a cheap blocker. At minimum, against like the black matchup, they're gonna have to wait. They're gonna want to waste their removal on it. It can absorb a big hit if need be. Because like I said, we are running. Looks like 4, 8, 12, like 14 characters without counter. More than that because we got these 4 as well. Up next, we got 4 copies of the starter deck 1 Nami. 1 drop, 1000 power, 1k counter. Activate main once per turn. Give up to 1 rested Dawn card to your leader or one of your characters. The same thing here with like Yamato. It's just to help you on those curves where you use all your Dawn to deploy the body. It's just being able to feed your leader a Dawn to pump the team. I've been liking this guy from starter deck 10. 4 copies of the 6 drop 6000 power Sanji. Has a 1k counter and on play. If your opponent has a character with 5000 power or more, this character gains rush during this turn. A lot of decks are running big body, at least 5000 power characters. Dofi being the most dominant deck in the format. 90% of his field is going to be 5k or higher, so 9 out of 10 times, this guy's gonna meet the requirements for rush. Worst case scenario, he's a 1K counter in hand. We are running two of the Edward Newgate from starter deck 15, 7 drop, 8,000 power. He has on play that you can give your leader or one of your characters up to one rested Dawn. I put him in here mainly because he's just a big body and he can also feed their leader a Dawn. He does have a second ability, Activate Main. You may rest this character, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 5,000 power or less. Good card, gets rid of blockers for the most part. Like I said, if we have to team it up with the Otama, we can to give it an additional minus 2,000. But he's just there as a big body, and he can potentially remove some threats, some obstacles. So we are doing 3 copies of Bad Manners Kick Course. It's a 0 drop event for red. With the counter, you may trash one card from your hand. Give up to one of your leaders or characters 3,000 power for this battle. Since we're running a high number of brick no counter cards in deck, we need to have a way to get those out of hand. And this basically turns it into a, this being a 3,000 power boost. So has a trigger. Give up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 3,000 power for this turn. It does come up occasionally out of life where it might stop the opponent from getting that last swing on you. A lot of times I'll just put it in my hand if I don't need. If I need the situation arises, we'll use the trigger, but most of the time it just goes to hand. I chose to run Guard Point, 4 copies of this over Radical Beam, just because Radical Beam gets really turned to its full potential when you're at 2 or less life, and it's 4K boost. At face value, it's a 2K. Well, Guard Point, the 1 drop, it gives us your leader or up to one of your characters gain 3,000 power. So there's no condition to be met in order to get a couple extra, power boost for the counter. It does have the trigger your leader or up to one of your characters gain plus 1,000 power during this turn. If my Dawn's all committed out and my opponent still has multiple swings, this is just going to be triggered off of life. Essentially, it's acting like multiple 1Ks for you. I am running 2 copies of the Gum Gum Jet Pistol from Starter Deck 1. A 4 drop main KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 6,000 power or less. This is going to get rid of majority of the blockers. Majority of them. Obviously, Teach is in a class all of its own. But just being able to, get rid of an obstacle just to go for game or whatever, this is a nice card. And also, the trigger ability activate this card's main effect. Out of light, it can stop an additional swing coming at you. So, we're running 2 copies. With the amount of blockers running around, we decided to run 2 Diable Jambes. The 1 drop event from Starter Deck 1 has main. Select up to one of your Straw Hat Crew type leader or character cards. Your opponent cannot activate blocker if that leader or character attacks during this turn. So that's really good. Like I said, with a lot of blockers running around, we want to be able to get through because we're not running the 5 drop loopy with Rush because we are kind of really heavy on no counter, so we didn't want to add more. But it does have a trigger which KO up to one of your opponent's blocker characters with a cost 3 or less. That hits a lot of targets, like Vasco Shock, Charlotte Brule, um, the Shirahoshi. It hits a lot of blockers, so if it comes out of life, don't be afraid to use it if the occasion arises too. We are running a single copy from Starter Deck 10 of the Gum Gum Kong Gatlin. 5 drop event, main, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 7,000 power or less. So we decided to run a 2-1 split between the Jet Pistol and the Kong Gatlin because there are sometimes we just need to get that extra 1,000 removal. It has trigger until the end of your next turn. Up to one of your leaders gain plus 1,000 power. So really good off of life as well. Making Zoro a 6K per rotation is really good. But like I said, I've had some fun with it. It's definitely a glass cannon style deck, similar to Bello Betty. So you're not going to win every game, but if you just like a rush deck that's just kind of pushing bodies, this is a good one. It's kind of low to the ground. We do have the 10 drop, but everything else is like 3, 2, 5, 4. It's really low costed, so we can use a lot of our additional Dawn to make our swings even bigger. But If you guys like this kind of content, make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'll be putting out some gameplay videos with this deck list here shortly. So make sure you guys follow for more.